The Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League is back at the Indiana State Fair this week with 2 truck classes ready to rumble. The Hot Rod Semis enter round 5 of competition with the top 3 separated by only 14 points. Teammates Mike Larrabee and Joe Metzger are in the hunt for the lead, carried by Greg Dean and the Bad Dog. Terry Hagedorn has proven once again he has a winning formula to lead the class. He's got 2 rounds left to hold off challenger Pete McKeith and Just Rutten. The action starts now.
Tractor pulling. The ultimate test of power. Purpose-built vehicles create thousands of horsepower using turbos and superchargers, alcohol fuel, and multi-engine configurations to see who can pull the farthest. A sled weighing thousands of pounds is used to stop the pulling vehicles. A moving weight box progressively adds resistance to end the run. The sled is customized for classes ranging from customized farm tractors to multi-engine modifieds. Teams spend countless hours preparing their machines for competition. Thousands of dollars are spent traveling to events across 10 states, maximizing power and repairing broken parts. The season is long, and the competitors have to maintain focus every pull to compete for a class championship. This is Tractor Pulling with the Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League.
Welcome to the motorsports capital of the world. We're at the Speedco Indianapolis Pro Pulling Nationals presented by E3 Spark Plugs. Ken Stout and a very excited Leslie Mears here at the Indiana State Fair to cover all the action for you with the Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League. And we can't wait to get things started. The Hot Rod Semis are in the house, and we have no shortage of modified 4-wheel drive trucks.
It's just amazing the amount of vehicles that show up here for the Indy Super Pull. The Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League brought it back a few years ago, and it's one that no one on the tour wants to miss.
Here's a look at the points inside of the Hot Rod Semi category, and Greg Dean leading it with the Mack. Mike Larrabee, former class champion. Joe Metzger right behind him. Dana Lindsay, she's another former class champion, so there's some talent back behind Greg Dean, who's trying to hang on. And Joe Metzger and Brachiosaurus will hook up to the sled first. We have a couple of great pit reporters that will keep us up with all the action down at trackside. And let's get it down to Crash Gladys to get things started.
Guys, you know, it's never easy going first in the class, but especially going first after the track has been washed. You're the first guy in the afternoon session. How do you prepare for that?
You just look at the track. We watched a session that went on early today, and it looked like they was having a lot of trouble getting a hold of the track. But it looks like this track might be a little better tonight. But if I had to choose tonight, I want to be first. I want to go out and try to make the best pass, and hopefully the rest of them follow behind.
And these guys watch the afternoon session intently. Even though the track is ripped up between sessions, they still know where the moisture content is and where the best point is to mark the sled.
It twists the front of that chassis up, picks up that left front tire, but it plants all those rear tires, 282 and 83. Keep in mind, those are DOT tires as well as we go on board.
And you can watch the shadow here and just see the torque of the machine as he makes a pretty straight pass down the track. Test puller, you know, you gotta think he's really thinking about this pass because he was really unsure of that first hook spot.
And that is a good truck, too, and it laid up a little bit short, so it wouldn't surprise me to see him start thinking about changing that sled a bit. There's a look at our pulling order here in Indianapolis. Metzger out first, followed by a tough Tom Lindsay and Lou Shankman. Greg Dean, our points leader, will be down there in 4th, and Joe Hoffa will round out the top 5. And here comes the Built for Business truck driven by Tom Lindsay. Of course, his wife is Dana Lindsay. We'll see her up here in just a little bit. Tom can definitely get it done. A ton of experience. Look at that front drive axle, too. It's just planted. The mark to beat, 282 and 83. He gets out there at 3:02.07 across that 300-foot mark, and we have a new leader.
And this is a nice, solid pass here by Tom Lindsay. And, he missed the very first hook of the year, came back with a win, a second, and a fourth so far in our 4 events this season. So, he's got the old girl wicked up, and she's ready to run. So that is going to be a tough mark for the rest of the pack out there.
Yeah, he's been climbing up in the points for sure and got off to a pretty slow start. Don't ever count him out. All right, Lou Shanklin coming up next. The name of this truck is Black Sheep, and a little bit earlier, Terry Boyd had a chance to speak with Lou.
Lou Shanklin and the Black Sheep had some troubles in Goshen, Indiana. Didn't make the show that night. What happened, Lou?
We started to truck the head to Goshen. We didn't have any oil pressure. We woke up again in the morning, threw another oil pump on it, and it's still no oil pressure. So we thought probably not a good idea to run that truck with no oil pressures. We had to fit that one out, tear it all apart. Takes a little more than 45 minutes to rebuild one of these, so couldn't get her done in time.
Bottom line, you had to be ready to come to Indy. What's so special about coming here to Indy?
This is just one of the favorite places we have to come. I mean, it's in the heartland, right smack in the middle of everything. This is just where we like coming. I mean, it's a great state fair here. You get to come here, bring the whole family, spend a day. It's great.
And, of course, the 45-minute comment is in relation to what the guys at NHRA will do with a massive crew and a car that's designed to have an engine rebuilt in that span of time. These guys just do not do that. The old Dodge digging hard right there for sure. 275 and 26, but unfortunately will lay up well short.
And you can see some problems there at the end as he had a little fire coming out of the stack. Also, this team really working hard, not only to, keep the truck on the track, but also, change their program up a couple years ago to be a lot more competitive, added an extra turbocharger out there so they could move out of the single charger class. And so, they're really progressing, in their team. And with more experience on the track, they're going to get just even better.
The next player behind the wheel, the 1989 Mack, and this Bulldog has been bad to the bone all season long. This is our points leader, Greg Dean, and he's off to a great start with 3 podiums in the first 4 events, including 2 wins. Tom Lindsay setting the mark at 3:02.07, and 3:02.69 is just going to snake by.
Greg Dean's such a hard charger here in the Bad Dog, and you can see just letting it all out there. Nice, tight, solid stream of black smoke coming out of the stack there for him, so he's moving lots and lots of good air with the Bad Dog machine.
A difference of about 8 inches or so at the end of the day. That's how tight it can get out here inside of these categories at the professional level. So Greg Dean takes over the lead. We'll find out if he can hang on to it. There's some talented trucks and drivers back behind him. There's a look at your top 3, and we'll be right back.
The Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League is brought to you by E3 Spark Plugs, born to burn. General Tire, anywhere is possible. And by Geico, saving people money on more than just car insurance.
And there's a beautiful look at the Circle City. Welcome back to Indianapolis. This is the Speedco Indianapolis Pro Pulling Nationals presented by E3 Spark Plugs, and we're going to get it down to Terry Boyd. He's with Big John Mears to find out where they're going to set this sled and the full pull mark.
John Mears, he's our track official. He's ahead of everything out here. Is the sled official at this point?
Yeah, we changed our setting from what we originally thought. We looked at the track. We did a couple test drags. We went ahead and made it a little heavier to start with. I think 320 pull line will be sufficient tonight, and we'll see if we can get a pull-off in the Mack Trailer Hot Rod Semis.
320 will be a pretty good effort out of somebody here today.
That's really stout out here this afternoon. And I mean, maybe the officials think that there's a little bit more track, or there's maybe a groove out there. that these trucks are going to find. We are, still in the infancy of the class here, so tough characters to come here, just like Joe Hoffa, former class champion in this category with Class Act.
And it slings off to the right just a little bit, but no sooner than we say that, and look at this. 3:26 and 39. Talk about taking the lead by a country mile. That is getting it done, and only the second time we've seen him this year.
Joe Hoffa, Chris Wood, great team here. The guys back at the shop just worked so hard on this piece, and they decided to upgrade this year. Another team that went from a single charger, which they won the championship with, and decided to put multiple chargers on it. It's basically a brand new piece for the season, and it looks like it out there.
Yeah, it's called Class Act, and you know why now. I mean, that is a beautiful piece of machinery, and needless to say, it's also performing as good as it looks.
I mean, man, call me a liar. I didn't think anybody was going to get out there, and then he just blew the doors off.
I mean, I'm with you. You take a look at Tom Lindsay and Greg Dean. I mean, that's two really solid trucks. Both of them just barely squeaked by the 300-foot mark. So to see 326, we were both in amazement. All right, up next will be Jeremy Walker. This truck's called Two of a Kind. Boy, just kind of rocking that nose up and down at the very end, and another big number here at 3:14 and 78.
It's interesting because both Hoffa in Class Act here and Jeremy Walker in Two of a Kind have both started a little further to the left of center and then traveled across to the right side of the track. The other four competitors that we saw with it came up a little bit shorter. They traveled right to left. So there's something about the travel across the track here today where it's got good bite in it for these guys.
I think they could just put a ski up there on the left front. That left front tire never turned a bit. Pretty amazing to watch these things load up these chassis. Well, here comes another very solid truck inside of the category. It's called Shameless. Mike Larrabee talked about former class champions, and he is one of them.
We had a little hitch there off the line.
And the 71 Chevy also digging really hard to get past that 300-foot mark. 3:08 and 18. Good enough for third place right now.
He is a single charger truck, but watch that front left tire as it comes up. And then just kind of, it catches just a little bit there, like he wasn't quite hooked up hard enough and had to use a little more power right there. So interesting for Larrabee. I wonder if there's some kind of mechanical breakage inside there for him.
That was a really good catch, too, and whatever it was, I mean, it was bound up. It was really binding, and, of course, putting pressure on the rear tires, and I wonder whatever broke there released that and took a little bit of pressure away from the rear tires and consequently not quite as far. This one's called the Double Down, and that is the other half of the Two of a Kind. So Terry is with Jeremy Walker.
Jeremy Walker's a bit of a legend when it comes here to Indy. He was a two-time hero last year, two-time zero. Hoping to get back to a two-time hero here this afternoon.
Yeah, we've been coming to Indianapolis State Fair since I was 8 years old. We was pulling antiques then we went to graduate up to hot farm stock, then we laid off a little bit. I mean, Indy's one of our favorites. I remember coming here when I was a kid, pushing tractors up and down the trailers like everybody else does here. But last year was unfortunate with us. Last year we had two trucks. One of them made a pull off, but it blew up and was unfortunate to come back. But this year I think we're all freshened up and we're going to give them hell this week.
I mean, these guys love pulling here. The only time he's missed the Indy Super Pull was when his wife was expecting and he had to stay home.
And I got to tell you, I mean, a good number here at 3:06, but what happened at the beginning of that pull is what caught my ear and eye. That thing sounded like it had a sequential shifter in it, and he snagged a gear just after he started pulling. Pretty impressive stuff for sure. There's a look at your top three in the Hot Rod Semi category. off the Indiana State Fair. Great time for everybody here at the Speedco Indianapolis Pro Pulling Nationals, presented by E3 Spark Plugs. Lots of good eats and treats, everybody having fun, and of course, we are watching the best in truck and tractor pulling out here, courtesy of the Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League. Red Hot and Rollin' is the name of the truck. Dana Lindsay, wife of Tom, is behind the wheel. And much like Tom's truck, I mean, it just really hikes up that left front tire, loads up that front drive axle. 290 and 84 is the distance.
And it's been a tough season here for the former class champ, as she's yet to make it on the podium.
Yeah, certainly not like her. I mean, they're always so solid between her and Tom, and both off to a relative slow start here in the front of the 2014 season. Of course, this starts off the back half of the season for this category here. So if they're going to make a run at a championship, you better be on the wheel right now.
Hillbilly Deluxe Mark Rook coming out of Jeromesville, Ohio. And, you know, it's interesting. The state of Ohio has so many great single charger hot rod semis that they come out here and play on the Champions Tour as well.
And Mark Rook's just not going to have quite enough steam for him out here today. 278 and 94. That'll put Joe Hoffa up top as our class winner. We'll watch this one more time.
You know, it's always great to just watch the torque, see the lean, and then look how solid those rear tires are planted with those airbags. Just the engineering that goes into making that work is just amazing.
So once again here, Mark Rook will pull off out of the way, but the category is set. Our winner is going to be Joe Hoffa with that huge 326-foot effort. Crash?
As you guys know, this is only the second hook for Joe Hoffa this year because they've made so many changes to the tractor, but second hook, taking the win, nothing is better than that.
No, we're pretty proud of that. We did a bunch of changes over the winter with the motor, and first couple hooks we couldn't get it together, but tonight seemed to work all right.
What sort of changes helped you with this win today? Because you did go 12 feet farther than anybody else.
Well, last year we were a single charger hookup. This year we're a multiple charger, so we gave ourselves a little more horsepower, and I think tonight that really helped.
Here's a look at our final results for the Hot Rod Semi category, as Joe Hoffa is atop the group, followed by Jeremy Walker, Mike Larrabee, and Jeremy Walker again inside of the top five. Then our points leader, Greg Dean.
Jeremy Walker, we talked to him earlier this afternoon. He wanted to go from zero to hero. I see he's done a pretty good job here in Indy. Second place tonight, pretty darn good.
Yeah, we got second with my truck and got a fourth with my dad's truck. Hey, we came to Indy, we gave it all we got, and my family's here, and we just had a good time. Good family event. I want to thank Mac Trailers for helping us put the pull on, Speedco, and Lucas Oil. At least we don't have one tore up this year, and hey, we just gave it all we got. We just don't have no excuses. They just outpulled us.
Well, the points are going to remain relatively unchanged here, except for third and fourth. Dana Lindsay with that hook today finds herself just above Joe Metzger and the Brachiosaurus. Let's head back to the podium for third.
We were just talking a little bit off mic about how it's been an up and down year for Mike Larrabee, but you'll take this third place at Indy at 308 feet, huh?
Yeah, great hook tonight. The Walkers and the Class Act team beat us. They had great hooks, and Shameless did good. We ran it hard. We pulled a big gear. We turned the engine up. I don't know what else I could have done, so we're really excited about our run tonight. Got 6 points back on Greg Dean, the points leader. So we're creeping our way up from second, trying to overcome Greg before the season's over. He's a great competitor. Didn't have the best run tonight. Hard work's paying off. I want to thank our team, all the Lucas and all the Lucas sponsors, Mac Trailer for sponsoring the semi-class, all our great sponsors at home, our engine builders, everybody. Thank you very much. We couldn't do it without you, our whole team. Super Joe had a bad run tonight. I tried to get him up here in the podium. He's back here pouting. He took that test hook. For some reason, he put the sled in there sideways. Who the hell knows what he was thinking? But anyhow, Super Joe, thanks for all your help. Sorry you suck.
No love lost there. And to think that they're teammates. That should be a nice ride home. All right, the mod 4-wheel drive trucks are coming up next. Stay with us. The sun just starting to set here at the Speedco Indianapolis Pro Pulling Nationals, presented by E3 Spark Plugs. As we go into our next category, it is going to be the 4-wheel drive category. Normally aspirated power plants, 4-wheel drive, as the name of the category would indicate. And we'll start things off with the Foolish Farmer. And Mike Mankey is going to start things off at 298.06.
And that's a great mark to start off the class here. Always such a huge field of modified 4-wheel drive trucks. And so if you're in this category, you have really got to watch your P's and Q's, especially on the starting line, placing that sled. Everybody's got just about the same power out here, and they're all chasing down Terry Hagedorn. We'll see him in gunpowder and lead in the 3rd slot tonight in our pulling order. Former class champ Jim Bosch out there towards the bottom, and then Terry Hagedorn in the Untamed Spirit going to round out the class with another former class champion, Steve Clem, in there as well.
Yeah, Terry Hagedorn has been very busy this year and very successful. Just Rutten has also had an extremely good season up to this point, and Pete McKeith had a chance to speak with Crash earlier today.
Pete McKeith is second in the points right now in only his 2nd PPL season, and we're talking, what, 7 top 10s? What are you doing? What's your magic?
I don't know. I did some research over the winter and figured a couple things out with the truck, I guess. But
such as?
Oh, just some changes on the suspension and clutch program.
But you're really not going to get into detail with me, are you?
No, that's my secret.
So clutch is your secret?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, clutch for sure.
Well, again, each of these tracks is so vastly different, and the weather conditions are different. So how do you fine-tune it per track, your truck?
Gearing and the driving style, mostly. That's the only thing you can go by, I guess. And I haven't pulled very many of these sleds because it's a different sled every week. But I'm learning, catching on.
I think you're learning pretty well.
Yeah, I'm gaining on them. It's one red truck I got to catch up with, but we'll see.
And these guys are always so tight-lipped because it is so competitive. You know, the chassis are so similar, you know, unlimited cubes on the power plant, so everybody's making really good power up there. So it's all about how they're going to hook it up to the track and their gear selection. I mean, they're so secretive that they, like, put their gears in, like, socks and plastic bags and wrap them up in Christmas paper.
And mark them differently, just in case somebody does find one.
Absolutely.
Then, of course, you have to have the secret code to remember what your mark actually means. Just Rutten comes out here, and that full song goes 3:21 and 25.
And, you know, Pete McKeith's a guy that does his homework. You know, he sits up on the stage during the show and watches the whole afternoon session. He watches them rip up the track. He watches them rebuild the track. And then he goes back to his notes from last year. It was his first season with the PPL out here on the Champions Tour. And he studies those notes since that's all he has to go off of. These other guys out here, you know, they've been doing this 20 years and going to these same tracks. And so he's got to be really judicious about looking at all those notes and putting it all together.
Here's a look at the points as you take a look. We talked about Terry Hagedorn being off to a great start. Pete McKeith right there behind him, just 17 points back. Steve Clem, you mentioned him, a former class champ. Leanne Timoyan and Jake Zaring locked up for that 4th position. Then Terry Hagedorn again. And speaking of Terry Hagedorn, here he comes with the first of 2 trucks. This one's down a little bit deeper in the points, about 7th or so, with gunpowder and lead.
And, you know, he's had 3 top 5 finishes with this truck, and he's a guy that's really benefiting from having a team of trucks on the track.
Oh, and it breaks. I said he was 7th, he was actually 6th, but he might fall down even deeper now, given the size, a massive size of this class, with something given way there inside of that truck.
And you can tell that he had a full head of steam going into this run. Nice, easy off the throttle. You can see he's hooked up nice and tight. And there it goes.
Boy, tough bit. And now you know why they put the rollers on the bottom of the weight boxes as well. Those things used to dig the nose in when they would break like that. But It leaned up on that weight box and just rolled along, fortunately, so that the sled doesn't tear up the back of the truck.
David Mills here now, the War Wagon machine from Knoxville, Tennessee. And he's had a pretty good season so far, staying in the top 10. He's 8th currently.
The mark 3:21 and 25 to beat. 3:12 and 22 is good enough to take over second place. So the War Wagon doing a nice job here.
Pete McKeith, though, your current leader as we take a look at our top 3.
The Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League is brought to you by Speedco Truck Lube and Tires. Built for speed, staffed for quality, delivering world-class value. Optima Batteries, the ultimate power source. And by Wyotech. Enroll today. Turn pro at Wyotech.
There's a beautiful overhead shot of the Indiana State Fair. This is the Speedco Indianapolis Pro Pulling Nationals presented by E3 Spark Plugs, and this is a huge fair, of course, serving the Indianapolis and surrounding areas. Beautiful sun there, just starting to set.
Jake Zering is another puller who is reaping the benefits of having a 2-truck team, as both of his vehicles in the top 10 so far this season. Crash had a chance to catch up with them right after he got scaled.
Jake Zering sits 5th in points right now, and I noticed you just came off the scales. You're changing the air pressure. Why do that now instead of later on when the temperature gets a little cooler out?
Well, by the rules stated, we got to have our tires set before we measure our hitch, because as the temperature drops, the air pressure will change. So I got to figure out how much it's going to drop between now and the time I hook.
So no touching it once you get in line?
On the front tires, we can't touch them once we check our hitch height. The back tires, we can let them out after that.
So 4-wheel drive class is basically just gearing what you control after you've been watching the nuances of the track.
Yes, there's a lot to do with the way the track changes when the sun goes down, the moisture comes up, and traction's a big factor.
And what he's speaking to is the fact that if they were to let some air out of those front tires, there's a possibility it could just slightly raise their hitch, and that would be out of compliance with the rules. Run.
I think just screaming right at the very end, and 3:13 and 36 is going to be good enough to sneak up into that second position.
Eases out of it, then man, does he let her have it, and gets lots and lots of ground speed up here. Gets a little squirrely though at the end, doing a little bit of steering, and that's going to detract from the distance here, of course, as they need those front drive tires to dig into the ground.
And once again, we're going to go down to Terry Boyd. He is with Big John Mears to find out where they're going to set the full pull mark.
Big John, this Speedco 4-wheel drive class is a tough one to set the sled. Are we official?
Yeah, we're official, but getting this class set is so fine. I mean, it's just a little bit, a half a weight or just a little bit of the trip. We ran 2, we pulled a little half weight out. We were in the 285, 290. I thought we could do a little bit more. We've got one at 321. I think we could have 3 or 4 or maybe even 6 out the gate here tonight.
Okay, so to decipher all that, I think he's saying that the full pull mark is set at 320. So we've got one out the gate right now with Pete McKeith and Just Rutten.
You're the only one that would know that, by the way.
Well, it is a fine art to decipher that.
All right, Stray Dog is the name of the truck. The man behind the wheel is Daryl Varner. Boy, he had a bunch of ground speed as well, Leslie.
And it's all about getting that sled moving fast. I heard John also say that they were talking about they've got the trip set at 2. And what that means is that the box is going to roll out a long time before it tops off. So you can see that right about the 250-foot mark, that's when the box on the sled is going to top off completely. And that means the full weight of the sled probably not on the hitch of the vehicle until about the 280, 290 mark.
Next up inside of the category is going to be the Bamber Hemi. Has been on the podium a couple of times this season. Dave Bamber, the man behind the wheel, out of Bolivar, Missouri.
An engine builder out there as well. Don't be fooled by the blue oval. It is a Ford Hemi.
And that shotgun Hemi, as some would refer to it, gets that truck out there at 3:08 and 28, and it's starting to get tight.
It's interesting. We are seeing all of our competitors really start to wear out that right side of the track. That's where our hot rod semis had a lot of success, so they're thinking that the road is going to be built on that side of the track. However, the distance is all falling right into place, right around the 3:08 to 3:13 mark on that side. It'd be interesting to see if somebody's going to take a chance on the left. We haven't seen anybody over there all night.
Jim Bosch, another seasoned veteran inside of the category. This truck called Midnight Raider, but he's yet to get up into the top 3 so far this season.
You know, barely cracking the top 10 3 times, 2 8s and a 9th place finish only so far.
And a good effort here, 3:13 and 75. That is a really nice job there and good enough to take over second place.
He moved just slightly out of the groove. You can see back towards the center of the track. Great throttle control here, though, by all the drivers in our category, just really feeling it hook up to the track.
Puts just about 5 inches on Jake Zarin in the Dixie Chopper and good enough to get up there into the top 3. We'll see if he can hang. It is a strong class with plenty of competition yet to come.
And so far for his season, he's got to feel really confident about that. We see Pete McKeith still out there all alone with our full pull mark set at 320 feet.
And the archway to get into the Indiana State Fair. As you take a look at the Midway, motorsports capital of the world, but everybody's having fun. There's nothing better than the Midwest fairs.
Oh, and I love skee-ball. That's one of my favorites. Ever since I was a little kid, there's nothing like it out here. You got to play those carnival games. It just kind of brings back all those old memories.
That was me stuck at the top of the Ferris wheel, by the way. All right, Leanne Timoleon coming up, and Leanne off to a great start, doing a nice job inside of the top 5 here in the points.
Guys, all season long, Leanne Tormolian has been driving both Charmed and Spellbound, but she gets a little break today in Indy, just driving Charmed, and Charmed is in 4th place. Did you get to choose that, yeah, you wanted the better truck?
No, this has always been my truck originally. We made a lot of changes to my dad's truck before this weekend. We got a new motor, new tire, new setup completely. And I want to focus on this. Our season's almost over. You said it. I'm tied for 4th in points right now. So my goal is really that top 3 position. So I'm going to focus on this one tonight, and he's going to take over that one. I brought him out of retirement for tonight.
All right, she's right. They only have 1 pull left after this one.
And this is just really crucial, for her. 2 podiums early on in the season, and a podium here this weekend would really help her efforts as she's in that big mishmash. But at 3rd through 8th, it's really battling out, only separated by 5 points.
Jake Zarin in the Dixie Chopper went 3:13 and 36. I say that because she was tied for 4th in the points with them, and she goes 3:06. So needless to say, Jake Zarin will get the nod here going into the final event.
And you can see working the steering wheel with the left hand, throttle all the way forward on the right.
I mean, a good effort out of the Charm truck. It is a beautiful piece of equipment. There's no question about that, but unfortunately missed the mark here by a good bit to try and hang with Jake Zarin and stay inside of that top 4 in the points.
Charlie Hines, the Runnin' Wild Texas-style machine, probably our farthest traveled truck this weekend here, coming to us from Quitman, Texas.
trying to sneak up there inside of that top three. Good effort, 3:12.07. Just misses it, but does get into the top 5.
3 top 10 finishes on the year for Running Wild Texas Style. And you can see there's a few hops there on the starting line that these guys have to battle. But watch the truck as he spins in it, as it just slides right off to the left of the track. These guys trying to get any bit of ground that they can there at the end. So they'll just hold that throttle just maybe a second or two longer than you would think, trying to gain some distance.
Oh, yeah, going on board here. And as you can see before, this is a 2-track pull, so the fans being treated to a lot of pulling action here. But here comes our points leader, Terry Hagedorn. We saw him a little bit earlier in Gunpowder and Lead, but this has been the truck to beat with 3 wins out of a possible 8 coming into this event. He's been on the podium 5 out of a possible 8 times, 3:23 and 61. And ladies and gentlemen, we have a new leader.
Check out his position on the track, though. Moves over to the left. Fresh tracks for those big tires to bite in the dirt.
Doing what he's done all season long, stays extremely consistent. Safe to say that he's going to end up in the top of this field, which is all he needs to do to just continue to maintain those points. He has a nice lead coming in here.
Well, and the important thing, he made the pull-off. So now he's almost on equal footing with Pete McKeith, which is the guy he's got to stay in front of. Randy Nelson up next from Illinois in the truck he calls Family Affair.
And he will not make it into the pull-off. As you can see to the right, their full pull mark is 3:20. He's 3:06.09.
In that center groove as well, but it seems like he hits those bobbles about 100 feet and doesn't quite get the ground speed that we've seen from some of our other hooks out here, and that's what it's going to take to pull the sled tonight.
He'll pull off out of the way, and up next will be a former class champion. We've had 6 different winners so far this season, and Steve Clem is one of those. Out of Versailles, Kentucky, Steve Clem knows how to get it done, that's for sure. And a little bit earlier today, Terry Boyd spoke with him.
Steve Clem's currently in 3rd in overall points in 2014. That's after a fairly lackluster 2013. What'd you guys do in the offseason to get ready?
Well, we didn't do a whole lot of changing. We did do some changing on the body, thanks to Eddie Allen. He remounted my body and saved me a bunch of weight in the body, and I had to do some adjustments because I had about 300 pounds I had to deal with, and 300 pounds on a 4-wheel drive is a bunch of weight.
And there's the big difference. The other difference I noticed, speaking of weight, your seat. There's no seat in your truck. Why?
Well, probably 2 reasons. For one, I've got enough seat on me, got enough cushion. The other, to be frankly, I like running my truck without the padding because you can get a better feel for what the truck is doing under you. It's hard to describe, but if you've drove these with and without, I just think it's a better feel for the truck. I can feel what the truck is doing without the padding.
And that extra 300 pounds crucial here, and any little edge that he can get has helped because he's sitting currently 3rd in the points.
You got to get up past that 3:13 mark to get into the top 3, or past the 3:20 mark to get into the pull-off. Unfortunately for Clem, he does neither.
Preparations for the pull-off begin. Pete McKeith all cooled down. Can Terry Hagedorn get his piece cool enough to run?
The Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League has been brought to you by Ion Camera, the lightest, fastest, fully waterproof HD action camera on the market. General Tire. Anywhere is possible. And by Lucas Oil. Made in America, sold to the world.
And the stars are out here for the Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League at the Speedco Indianapolis Pro Pulling Nationals, presented by E3 Spark Plugs. We're at the Indiana State Fair. Just 2 hooks left in the 2014 season, including this one, and this is now an official pull-off. Just Rutten will be the first one to hook up to the sled. Pete McKeith trying to go out of here with a win. It would be his second of the season. Boy, he waited a good long while there, Leslie, to finally go to full throttle. 3:15 to 24, good number though.
And you can see the tracks of the sled show that as well, as it's very, very straight. Look at this, nice, even, as you can listen, and he waits. And finally goes full throttle. I mean, he had to be out there 125 feet before he decided to really lay into it. That's kind of the area where everybody else was kind of hitting those hops. And so, very smart move there to not go full throttle till he got past that point so he can make sure he got those tires hooked up hard.
Of course, the good news for Pete was he had a little more time to get that engine a little bit cooler than Terry Hagedorn did.
But did you see he started heading back down the track? He wants to see this run here by Terry Hagedorn.
Absolutely, of course. I mean, this is for everything here, and Terry's been spot on all season long. We talked about it before. 5 podium finishes and 8 attempts so far this season, including 3 wins and trying to make it 4. That thing's just cackling.
And he didn't wait quite as long.
It wanders way off over there to the left-hand side, and he's going to miss it by just a little bit and finish in second place here tonight at 3:11 and 34. But it's exactly what he needed to do. I mean, if you can't win against second in the points, you've got to at least hang right there, and that's exactly what he did in second.
And you can see a very excited Pete McKeith there running back to his truck. Just an awesome class here of 4-wheel drives as we head up to the podium where we see Jim Bosch for the first time this year with Crash Gladys.
Well, guys, Jim Bosch comes up here for 3rd place and says, I'm happy with this. This is your best finish of the season, huh?
Yeah, we've had kind of a rough year, but right here in the Lucas Oil Series, hey, we'll take this tonight.
So what was different?
Well, we kind of had some issues with our motors, but we got things tuned in. We're ready to go.
So should we fear you the rest of the season?
Oh, yeah.
Fighting words, guys, fighting words.
Yeah, it's a really good feeling to come out here at this level of competition and have a good night. Get up on that box. All right, you can see in the poll out there how they finished. McKeith and Hagedorn, then Bosch in the top 3. As you take a look at the rest of the competitors here, we'll go back down to the podium with Terry Boyd, who's with second place, Terry Hagedorn.
To say that Terry Hagedorn has been the model of consistency in 2014 really doesn't do it justice. That's why he is your series points leader. Tonight, you make it into the pull-off. You had some heat issues, engine and clutch.
Yeah, we barely had time to even get it back to starting line, and it was smoking hot. We tried to cool it off with a leaf blower, but you can't get inside the bell housing that quick and cool that clutch off. It just didn't want to slip taking off there very good. And, you know, that's part of it. That's the luck of the draw. If I'd had 6-7 trucks in between us there, we might have had a little more time to cool it off, but we'll take it. We're here to win the championship, and that's what we're trying to do.
And he only loses 2 points tonight and gives himself a very healthy lead going into that final round. But it's Pete McKeith who finds himself on top for the second weekend in a row, taking the win.
Guys, we talked about this at the beginning of the class. Hey, he got second here last year. You knew, changed the clutch, changed the suspension. That research you did to get first. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. It worked good tonight. Track was awesome here tonight. Pretty proud of it.
Well, you weren't going to tell me your exact secrets earlier. Can you at least now that you've won?
No, Hagedorn's standing right over there. I can't be saying nothing.
I know he's got a pretty big lead on the points championship, but you're climbing on him. This is your second win in a row.
Yeah, it takes quite a few points in between the catching, but we'll be working on it.
Should be giving up now.
I ain't going to give up. No way. I got my first. I'll keep working for them.
All right, well, now go celebrate.
Thank you very much.
And of course, if you want to find out where we're going to be next or video highlights, exclusive information about the Lucas Oil Pro Pulling Leg, head on over to propulling.com. And of course, we want to hear from you on social media at ProPulling on Twitter and Lucas Oil Pulling League on Facebook.
It's been a busy day, to say the least, with both tracks running out here with the Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League. And, of course, we featured here the hot rod semis and the four-wheel drive category. Hope you enjoyed all the great pulling action for Crash Gladys, Terry Boyd, and Leslie Mears. I'm Ken Stout. Thanks for watching the Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League.